Welcome back to another serving of Drum Soup. I'm Robert Hendry. Today we're going to look at some work from Jeff Porcaro. It's on Lowdown, which is off of Boz Scaggs' Silk Degrees album. So Jeff's work on this album is hard to reproduce live. Reason being, he played it first time through 8th note pattern. Then they overdubbed those 16th notes. So that creates a challenge for us as drummers playing it live, because those 16th notes, they're just kind of part of the pattern. If you're not playing it like that, it's not going to sound quite right. So let's take a look at some ways that we can reproduce that in a live setting. So what I mean by Jeff playing 8th notes on Lowdown and then them overdubbing the 16th notes is, I think that what Jeff was doing was actually for most of the pattern, all right, and on that opening it's and then they just overdub the hi-hats for the opening. And so the opening ends up sounding like So here's the other thing. I'm playing that as if the E of 2 is on the kick. That's harder. I'm actually not sure, but that it might not be a grace note. That E of 2 might not be a grace note on the snare. So if he was doing it that way, then when he recorded it, it would be. So it would have sounded like, and the way to play it is. I actually find that easier, but do with it what you will. You know, try it either way. Both are fun to have. Get called up on the gig, and who knows what it is that they're going to want. So. Now another thing is that that opening lick, it's hard to transition from that into that pattern. It's hard to start that pattern either way. But the opening lick is pretty straightforward. One thing I like to do, because if you listen closely you can hear it on there, is give hats on the 3 and 4 quarter note. It's a 2-beat lead in, so it's so what he's doing is all right, and then you transition it. So doing it real slowly with that kick pattern. That E of 2 on the kick on that first measure is just really hard to get into. You'll find yourself flubbing that more than anything else. You'll go. So you're adding an extra one. What are they? 2EN? No, it's just. Which brings us to the next part. that central pattern, for the most part, it sounds really good keeping the sticks up on top of the hats throughout that. But since Jeff actually played it the first time and you can still hear the residuals of that eighth note pattern, you almost want to take it and use the shaft a little bit. So kind of shank it on that and tip it with the left. So and that will give it a more appropriate pulse. Which brings me to another thing. Throughout that, the fill is often just that upbeat on 3 as well as the upbeat on 4. So let's take a look at that pattern on the bridge. I think that, and it's hard to tell again, but I think what we're looking at is ride bell. So again, when Jeff played it, it was probably it's hard to tell what's going on, but I think that that kick pattern might be but I've written out 4 of them, so it's possible that it's just or it might be or it could be or it could be However, since we overdubbed those hats in there, and I think on the overdub what they did was so it's just opening on the upbeats. That makes this pattern a little bit more tricky. So I think you can do it this way. And I think that really sounds probably the best. If you have difficulty moving between that, the bell of that ride, if the bell of, if you keep a ride on your left side, go to that instead, a little less movement. You know, the bell on this crash is not going to work though. You need that deeper, more resonant sound. Anyway. So that's how you play it. On the outro, I think he goes to back a little bit to that opening pattern a little bit. So I think what he's doing is without trying to get that E of 2 on the kick, although you certainly could. E of 2 on the snare again. Anyway, that's about all I got to say about Lowdown and Jeff Porcaro's work on it. Thanks for watching. I think I'll end this episode covering the song myself. It's kind of fun. And Next episode, I may have some more Porcaro for you. Thanks.